Welcome to the Miranda Project. I'm your host, Manny. Welcome to the Miranda Project. I'm your host, Manny. Happy to be with you today on this, I believe, a very, very interesting topic. We put a lot of work into it. We've been kind of thinking about this particular topic in a minute or for a minute, and we are glad to bring it over to you today. So, once again, happy to be with you wherever it is that you are listening to this podcast or watching us on Rumble. Now, in our previous episode, I spoke about or kind of, gave a little bit of a teaser in regards to the Great Deception. A lot of us are familiar with the Great Reset, right? But I believe that the Great Reset is there's a prelude to it. And the prelude to the Great Reset is the Great Deception. Not the Great Depression. Don't get that confused. That happened. But I think the Great Deception is what is taking place right now. Now, you're probably going to listen to this and you're going to be like, oh my God, like, I don't want to go through a bit of a sociology class, but it has to do a little bit with sociology. So, but I mean, giving you a little bit of a heads up. So follow me with this. Okay, because it has a lot to do with Karl Marx. And the reason why I bring him up is because after the death of George Floyd, and I mean, not that BLM didn't exist before then, they really came more to light. Like they really were in the limelight. Not that they didn't back, in prior occasions, but you had someone kind of come to the forefront more in the name of Patrisse Cullors, and I believe her other leader of the movement. Now, one of the things that kind of stuck with me when they introduced Patrisse Cullors to the world as BLM was out there burning, neighborhoods and creating riots and doing riots outside of peaceful protests. Okay, we know that we have to differentiate the two. There were peaceful protests, and then there were riots afterwards, right? So in the midst of all of that, you had people like this woman, Patrisse Cullors, who stood up and said that she was a trained Marxist. That kind of hit me. It kind of stuck with me. And I couldn't put a finger on it until I took a sociology course for Bible Institute this past semester. And in this course, they talk about Karl Marx. And now it hit me while while we're taking that class and we're talking about Marx, it hit me that Patrisse Cullors called herself a trained Marxist. Now, I remember back then, if you went back to their website, they also under their website, as they identified themselves, they had mentioned the fact that they were against the nuclear family. I want to bring that to the forefront because I want to show some of the things that what they meant by that, or how it's affecting us today, and how that is part of the Great Deception. But let's talk about Karl Marx and what his beliefs were, what he believed, and what, obviously how that failed in his time. But you have people that are continuously trying to bring that up in the name of, again, we'll say her name, Patrice Cullors, and others that have tried to, uh, you know, destroy this country from within. You have had so many nations try to destroy the United States from the outside, and they've been unsuccessful. But they figured, let's not do it from the outside because we're not going to be able to do it. Let's do it from the inside. And that's exactly what's going on today. This is part of the great deception. So again, it hit me. It stuck with me. It's like when she said it, knowing a little bit then about Karl Marx, but not to the extent that I knew after I took this course. And knowing how or what he believed as far as the classes and how these classes would evidently fight each other. There would be a revolution, one class to another. And one class will destroy the other class, and then there will be a what's it called? A sociological utopia or a socialist utopia, right? That was his belief. That's what he what's it called? What he presented. That's what his thought process were. And then he presented the bourgeois, which is your rich class, and your proletarian, which is everybody else, or your working class. Because he presented this in the context of the working class. Okay, he didn't really present it in the form of society. He presented it more of a working class, which obviously is comprised of society, but this is the way that he presented it. Obviously, all of his theories fell through, never took place. There was never a revolution from the proletarians being middle class or working class, people that have to make ends meet. They have to go to work. They have to be able to put food on the table. They have to be able to, as he said, sell themselves in order to be able to put food on the table in order to work. Right? Versus your bourgeois, which are your high-end people, the people that own those people, the people that own companies and so on and so forth, that have these employees working for them, making sure that their items are being produced, sold, and so on and so forth. But yet they treated their employees like crap, and then there would be a revolution, and the proletarians would take over, and there would be, as I mentioned before, a socialist utopia. How does that transpire or make sense into what we're talking about, or about what is going on right now in this country today? You're probably like, it doesn't make sense, right? But it absolutely does. Because what's going on today is not a working class issue. Because what they're doing is destroying or trying to destroy this country from within, using something that they've tried to use before but never worked. It never worked in its entirety. They tried the War of the Roses. We know about the War of the Roses, and how the women stood up and all power be to women, because they are deserving of what they have and what they've worked for and strived for today, right? But then they tried to utilize that to destroy the country, because you had proud men, and men are the ones that bring the bread into the house, and so on and so forth. But that didn't work. Society made it adapted, right? And here you do need a two-income household in order to survive, right? In order to pay your bills and all that, you need two incomes, right? To live a comfortable life, you need two incomes. But then they went from that to class warfare, the rich versus the poor, right? And that's what it was, the rich versus the poor, and that never really transpired. It never really took place. because yes, granted, people were upset about or um didn't didn't sit well with them, the class part of it, but you make ends meet, you just keep it moving, in other words, right? It never really sunk in, it never really took hold. People are still kind of in a bit of a funk about it, if you must, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But it never really took hold. It never really was something that really did a dent in this country. But now what they're doing, these people in power, what they're utilizing is this country's checkered past. The race relations, the I mean, God forbid, but what's his name, Manson, tried to do back then as far as race wars is basically right now, and we're in the midst of it. And that's the great deception, right in itself, and we're going to get into it. Because you have these people that are telling you that our checkered past is our checkered past, right? We're not steering away from it. We're not saying that we shouldn't acknowledge it. We need to learn from it. It doesn't. It's not that something that needs to go away, but it's being brought to the forefront, and it's being utilized to destroy this country. After the death of George Floyd, policing in this country became something that is completely different. They've sold this idea that black men are killed in the streets exponentially versus any other race. That is statistically not true. It Someone look up the statistics, not the statistics that CNN tells you, not the ones that MSN sells you, not the ones that the mass media are selling you, not the ones that they're propagandizing you with. The ones that you go out and find out on your own, right? You find out that the numbers that they're telling you, there's a huge discrepancy. Now, should a life be lost in the hands or in the custody of the police? No, absolutely not. I don't agree with it. It doesn't matter what race they are. It doesn't. But after that incident, policing has become something that is unrecognizable. They've de-weaponized the police to a point where now people are destroying their own neighborhoods. They're doing whatever it is that they please, whatever it is that they please, because they know that they can get away with it. They can do whatever it is. What are they going to get? They might get arrested and then they're out a few hours later. It's sad, but this is what's going on. These people that are in power, these people that are making these laws, they are writing these laws, taking the power away from the people that are trying to enforce laws, the laws that keep us safe. You've taken the power away from them because in the name of this social utopia, in the name of, well, a racial reckoning, right? You've taken the power that these people have to enforce the law. And don't get me wrong, I understand that there are police that take their power to the head, but that's any human being. I'm sorry, any human being. I don't care if you wear a badge. I don't care if you wear an apron. I don't care if you wear a tie. Power corrupts absolutely. You could be that guy at McDonald's that started sweeping at McDonald's. As soon as they put that manager's badge on you, all of a sudden it goes to your head and you feel that you're bigger than everybody else and you're going to exhort or utilize that power versus someone else that may be sweeping the same way that you did many years ago. So please don't tell me that it's only something that has to do with policing, because it's everywhere. But they utilize the race relations, they utilize this racial reckoning, they utilize the fact that the United States has so much bad history when it comes to racial problems or relations, or, slaves, and so much more. Because again, they don't teach you about everything. They just tell you about slaves. And I mean, it's sad that history classes now don't really tell you the full story. Even in U.S. history, they don't tell you the full story, and it's sad. It truly is sad that you would have to go and find out on your own. Your history teacher is doing you a disservice, and it's not every single history teacher. It's what they are told that they have to teach, because they have 180 days to teach you a curriculum that is not built by them, it's built by a school board. You get it? You understand? They just have to do their job. They might look at the curriculum and say, this is absolutely wrong. I don't agree with all this nonsense. But this is what I have to teach, because I have a mortgage to pay. I have kids that I have to feed. I have kids that I have to put to college, so on and so forth. Right? You get it? This is what they are calling a racial reckoning. They are destroying this country from the inside out, using our own checkered past. And it's sad. It truly is sad, because you know what? Not for nothing. I don't sit here like if racism doesn't exist. I know it does. I've said it over and over and over and over again. I know it does. I've experienced it myself. So please don't tell me that I'm over here defending anybody, because it's not the case. But what I am saying is that you have all these race baiters. Everything is race. For crying out loud, affirmative action was taken down, or not taken down, but was what's it called? Was stated by SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, and it was said that it's unconstitutional. Oh man, like I said in our previous episode, people absolutely lost their minds. They lost their minds. In our last episode, I spoke about the fact that people lost their minds about this. And they said, oh my God, whoa, what's it called? The Supreme Court said that affirmative action is unconstitutional. They're racist. It's all racist. Hard work is racist. You have to be given, because, black people or Hispanic people or minorities in general, we need a handout. We can't perform on our own. We need help. I mean, Natasha Cloud, she came out. I mean, like I said, people lost their minds, right? And I spoke about her. Natasha Cloud said, our country is trash in so many ways. And instead of using our resources to make it better, we continue to oppress, marginalize groups that we have targeted since the beginning of times. Again, this is her words. You get what you see what I'm saying? You see how they utilize this stuff? You see how they I mean it's just truly sad. Think about it. The other day, it went viral on TikTok and I mean all of the social media sites, right? The young lady that grabbed the microphone from the white lady and said, my name is such and such, and you're not taking away from my day, and this, that, and the third. And she threw down the microphone afterward, right? Mic drop, blah, whatever. Everybody got on that racial pedestal. Oh, she's a racist. Oh, look at Karen. She's a racist. Oh, look at what she did. How dare she do that? This, that, and the third. And then it came out 2 to 3 days later that that lady was not racist at all. That lady was doing her job. There was a procession of graduates, and all they had to do was say their name. The lady would hold the microphone to each one. They would say their name, and she would move on to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right, blah, blah, blah. Now, there were other students that said more than they were supposed to because they were told what they were supposed to say. They were only supposed to say their name. Now, of course, people are going to do what they want to do, and they're going to go and they're going to add a couple of extra. This woman lost her mind. She did what she did, and apparently everybody went on the whole racial nonsense. I mean, there was someone on MSNBC that got up on his racial pedestal and said, "Well, our names mean something. They're important. Uh, I'm sorry, but everybody's name means something. Everybody's name is important. My name means something. Okay, there's a meaning behind everybody's name. Everybody's name has a definition." And he got up there and he started race baiting and all this other stuff. You have people that utilize these things to bait you into your feelings, into your what's it called, your emotions about racism. It truly is sad that this is what's going on, and this is what might take down this country. The fact that you had people many years ago that did horrible, unspeakable things to people of a different race. And now you have states like California, by the way, that never had one slave, talking about reparations. Reparations. Giving people money who were not slaves themselves. And I mean, I'm not talking about, oh, let's give them, a little bit, a couple of dollars here. No. They're talking about millions of dollars. Pretty much bankrupt California. And it's funny because whatever happens in California tends to happen in New York. What's going to happen? I mean, New York is pretty much bankrupt as is, with all the craziness that they do. I mean, and then you have obviously these bailouts that the federal government does or puts together for these states such as New York and California. And then who ends up paying for it? You and I. And the taxpayer ends up paying for it. So, I mean, you really have to think about the fact that there are trained Marxists that are sitting behind a desk in front of a camera full of makeup telling you that you're racist because you're white, because you're a Republican. I don't know if anybody watched that interview with one of the candidates. Oh my God, I cannot pronounce his name for the life of me, and I don't want to do a disservice, but he's a candidate for he's running for president on the Republican ticket. And in that interview, you had this woman that, I mean, it was on the Breakfast Club, and she laid into him about, what's it called? He has no leadership. He never went into leadership, and this, that, and the third. Mind you, this man is from Indian descent. His family is from India, I believe. He's Asian. It's in some way, shape, or form. And I'm sorry for doing a disservice this way, but he just came to mind, and it really bothered me because, again, it wasn't about the fact that the man, he's a minority, but no, he's a Republican. So because he's a Republican, he's a racist, and we have to treat him as such. We have to present him as being a bad person. It reminds me of something that Tupac said in one of his songs. And he talks about the fact that we need to change. Why is it that we go after our own people? We attack our own people. This is what we do. We attack, we go after our own people. We don't rise up together. We knock each other down. You get it? You understand where I'm getting at? So you do less policing. Less policing means more people out there doing whatever the heck they want to do. And now you have more black on black crime. But you know what? It's okay. It's no big deal. Shh. Mum's the word. Because Karen, quote unquote, took the microphone from this young lady who tried to say her name, and her moment was taken, and that lady's a racist. So the whole world has to turn upside down because that lady's a racist. The whole world is turned upside down when a what's it called, a group of young men and a woman fight over a city bike. Because you have to realize that everybody is racist, especially anybody that's white in this country is racist. And it's us against them. Meanwhile, we're killing each other exponentially on the streets of New York, St. Louis, Chicago, LA. But nobody says anything. Nobody says anything. As a matter of fact, you see, this is what I mean by the fact that they paint this picture, this racial reckoning, and you have these race baiters out here that are out to do nothing more than to destroy, to make this revolution, to have this racial war come into play. Because the other day you had that mass shooting that took place. I believe it was Philadelphia, right? You had BLM activists that came out and said it was the media's fault because the media is racist and they are targeting, not only are they targeting the person for being black, but they're targeting them because they're transgender. Because they're out there saying that this person is a black transgender person, and they're the ones that had this mass shooting. They're targeting and they're being racist, and they're targeting these people, making it harder for those people to live their lives. I'm sorry, what? So we can't spit the facts. We can't talk facts anymore. This is what's going on. You don't believe me. You don't believe me that these people, these race baiters are out there, that they're trying to destroy this country using our checkered past, using the fact that we had slavery in this country, but not realizing and not talking about the fact that we along with the British abolished racism. You don't believe me? When I heard this, I heard it and it made me cringe. It made me cringe. This is, I believe it's Macy Gray, is it her name? Oh my God. But she goes to sing the national anthem at some Essence cultural thing. And this is how she sings the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the blood in the streets that this place doesn't smile on you, colored child, whose blood built this land with sweat in their hands, but will die in this place and your memory erased. Oh, say, does this truth hold any weight? This is not the land of the free, but the home of the slaves. Now, let me I want to address this real quick because there's this impression that these race baiters are out there putting. And you need to do a little research. You need to find out on your own. You need to really dig into this. Because they, like this singer said, that her people, the black people, right? built this country, right? And I wanna confirm, and I'm sorry, I wanna confirm her name. I don't wanna give the wrong information and go and say that it was somebody else. No, excuse me, it wasn't Macy Gray. I apologize, please. It was Jill Scott. I knew I had gotten it wrong. So I wanted to confirm because I didn't want to go and give off wrong information. It was Jill Scott. Now, one of the things that Miss Scott goes and says is that the land, what's it called, whose blood built this land with sweat and their hands, right? Now, one of the biggest misconceptions is that only black people built this country, right? Did they take a major role in building this country? Absolutely. Do not take that away from them. Never, never will. Absolutely. Yes. And was it built on their backs? What's it called? With that, with how do I put it? Not unknowingly, but without freedom. On their backs with with you know, as slaves. Yes, absolutely. I was looking for another word and I couldn't find the word in my head. It's like, come on, come on. But anyways, but if we look at history, black people weren't the only ones that built this country. A lot of a lot of racial groups put this country on their backs. Granted, a lot of them weren't slaves, but a lot of them were under different circumstances, you know, forced into doing the labor that they did. This country was built by black people, yes, but it was also built by Chinese and Japanese people. It was also built by the Irish. It was also built by the Italians. But history forgets to mention and other groups. I mean, Puerto Ricans. I mean, even Puerto Rican people have great accomplishments that people just forget to mention. But you see, Jill Scott took it upon herself to go and change the national anthem. The national anthem, the thing that whether you're at a baseball game, what's it called, graduation, or whatever it is, a football game, whatever, you're there and you put your hand over your chest and you think about the people that have sacrificed themselves, for freedom. Whether she believes that there is freedom or not, because she believes that there's freedom in other countries like Holland. I read the article. She says that Holland is free and it's better. Then Miss Scott, go to Holland. Goodbye. I'm sorry. Go. You completely debased our national anthem. People fought for those words. People fought for that freedom. People lost their lives. People don't have family members for that freedom. People even put this country on their back for those words. For crying out loud, do a little research and find out Frederick Douglass, one of the biggest, abolitionists, fought for those words so that he can proudly say those words in this country, so that he can proudly wear the red, white, and blue of this country. He knew what was going on in this country. He knew how badly his people were being treated in this country, but yet he was proud to be an American. And he fought for every single one of those slaves to be proud to be an American. But you come and you lambast this country because, again, you're a race baiter. You're doing what the Marxists in you is being told to do. You're a proletarian who's going against the Borgias, and the Borgias being the white people, right? Right? Somebody tell me if I'm wrong here. But isn't it funny how you have these people that are oppressed, these overly oppressed people that have money? Why is it that you have Jill Scott and what's it called, Miss Cloud, and so many others that have money, but yet they're oppressed. They're oppressed. Oh my God. The amount of oppression on these people that have so much money. Jill Scott ain't broke. Jill Scott ain't getting up on a 9 to 5 to catch a bus or train, to get on a bike to go to work and work for minimum wage. And you know what the crazy thing about it is, that you and I get up 9 to 5 or whatever it is, whatever time it is that you get up to go to work, and you work alongside someone that looks different from you. They might be white, they might be black, they might be blue, they might be purple, they might be green. It doesn't matter. But you both are working 9 to 5, and you know what? You guys are working together and you're making it happen. And you care less what skin color they are, because you know what? You got to put food on the table. You got to make sure that your kids are taken care of. You don't care. But some rich person out there in Propagandaville is telling you that, no, you're supposed to care because you're not free. According to Jill Scott, you're not free. I'm telling you. These race baiters it is so sad to see how they are taking this agenda and shoving it down your throat. For crying out loud, you had people kissing the feet of other people, apologizing for the sins of others. I mean, really? You had people apologizing for the sins of others. This is where we are. This is what they're creating. This is the revolution that they want. They want you to say, to bow down. They want everyone to bow down for the sins or for our checkered past. And this is how they're destroying our country from within. And if you don't believe me, go to any inner city. Go take a trip to any inner city. Because you know what? The powers that be, the legislative offices or the legislators that are out there creating these laws are not going to the inner cities. And they're not seeing how these beautiful cities, or what once was beautiful cities, have become horrible places to live. I was having a conversation with a woman who lives in Harlem. She's lived in Harlem for 25 years. She is on the board of her neighborhood. And she was telling me that people are coming to her and telling her that it's becoming unbearable to live in that area of Harlem. 145th Street, Amsterdam, St. Nicholas, Broadway, Riverside Drive, Riverside Park. That area over there is becoming unlivable. It just, the drug infested, the crime, there's nothing that people can do. And there's nothing that you can do in regards to trying to leave, because the lady told me, you know what? I want to leave, but I can't because nobody's buying my property. I own my condo. I own it, but nobody wants to buy it. So I can't leave. I'm stuck here. I'm stuck. As things continue to decay, as things continue to get worse and worse and worse. Because you know what? Policing is racist. I know from a viable source that the narcotics departments in the police department, or narcotics in the police department, is slowly being eroded, slowly being taken away, because why have narcotics? And if New York City, you have vending machines for drugs. You can walk up to a vending machine and get yourself a needle. You can get yourself swabs. You can get yourself, all of the type of paraphernalia that you need that comes out of a vending machine. So, I mean, the only thing that doesn't come out of the vending machine is the heroin or the crack or the what's it called. You still have to go and get that from your what's it called, your neighborhood pharmacist, right? And by neighborhood pharmacist, I don't mean Walgreens and CVS. I don't mean that. And the decay continues, and people are continuously killing and destroying neighborhoods and destroying these cities, living on the street. For crying out loud, the mayor of New York implored New Yorkers to take in migrants. He said he would pay them $100 a day to have them live in their homes. He just made it possible for people to live on the street and in tents, because he just has no other recourse. Because they've voted on. This is what they've written into law. This is what they've allowed. The streets of New York, along with other streets in inner city America, are rampant with crime, are rampant with what's it called, immigration, illegal immigrants. And I'm sorry, I'm Hispanic. But you know what? The best thing for you to do is for you to come into this country and to do it the right way. I've said it 1,000, 100 million times. But it's no longer safe. It's no longer safe. People are getting killed on the streets. People are doing whatever the heck they want to do, and no one can do anything about it. You are powerless to do anything about it. Powerless. Thank God that you still have the right to bear arms in this country. Otherwise, we would look like France. I don't know if you know about what's going on in France, but take a look. Stop, what's it called, listening to these race baiters that are telling you that this country is so bad and that it's racist and that, what's it called, and Big Whitey is coming after you. And I'm sorry to put it that way. And find out, do research, and see what's going on in France. How France is beginning to fall because of the amount of, not crime, but the immigration or the lack of, immigration, the lack of strengthening your borders, the lack of, seeing who is coming into your country. You see, because again, it goes right back to the race bait, because the former president wanted to build a wall. He's a racist, and he's a xenophobe, and he doesn't want anybody else to come into the country, and he has something against Mexicans and all of this other stuff. This is the race fight that they're building up against the American society. This is how they are planning to destroy this country from the inside out, because they want racial warfare. They want us to destroy ourselves from the inside out, and they're utilizing, think about it, they're utilizing the greatest asset the country has ever had, the greatest asset, and it's diversity. Give me your hungry, give me your tired. That's what's on the Statue of Liberty. And so many people have come into this country. Go to Ellis Island and you'll see the number of immigrants from so many walks of life. But Jill Scott, and I still have it up there because and I'm talking about our video podcast, because it sickens me that you would go and demean the national anthem for your political agenda, for your race baiting, for your race war that you people want to create. You want to take the greatest asset that this country has, the fact that we have let in all these nations, all these people from different nations. It doesn't matter where you came from, and you have become an American, and you want to take that and you want to classify people as minorities, and you want to classify people as slaves, and you want to say all of this stuff and make people utilize their anger, their strife, their emotions against everyone else, against this country, to destroy what has been the greatest experiment known to man. This is what they're doing, and this is how they're doing it. This is the great deception. We are going to erode from the inside out, and it's going to be via race, because everything is racist. Everything is racist. I've spoken about it before. Everything is racist. It truly is sad that this is where we are. Absolutely and utterly sad that they're utilizing this country's greatest asset, our diversity. I remember in high school, and with this I close. I remember in high school, I was part of concert choir, chamber singers. Yes, I used to sing. I was a nerd and a church, choir geek and all that good stuff. Yeah, that was me. I have no shame in that. But I remember going to Carnegie Hall. I remember us being awarded, we was one of the best choirs out there at the time also. But I remember being awarded, the Bronx being awarded the most diverse city in the country. And I remember us celebrating and us going to Carnegie Hall representing the Bronx as the most diverse city in the country. And we had all races in our choir. And Nancy Shankman was our director. Jonathan DeZick was our other choir director. And we had every single race. And we loved each other and we spent time with each other and we did everything together. And we were the most diverse group of people in the country. And now that has been turned around and made into the worst thing that can topple this great nation. And that's exactly what they want to do. This is the great deception. The great deception is whatever your race is, this country hates you. Listen, I'm not saying that that there aren't other countries that are, there are other countries that are racist as well. There's racism everywhere, man. There's racism within your own culture. Think about it. Stop with this nonsense. I'm not going to go into all of that because I'm going to go over my time. But this is the great deception. Think about it. Let us know. Let us know what you think. We'll be posting our new website soon. So definitely check us out there when we post it up on our Facebook and our Instagram, and our Twitter as well. We want to give a special shout out. I'm kind of going over because I was so like really into this episode, but you know, it really is something to really think about. But we want to give a special shout out to our one of our greatest fans. Um, she is the what's it called? I guess the head of Infinity Designs. Definitely check her out on Facebook. She made us a great design, and if you're watching on Rumble, my head is cut off, but that's the Infinity Designs. That's their logo. She's a great fan. She sent us a gift. I'm not going to give her government, but um, check out Infinity Designs. She sent me this beautiful what's it called? Doormat. For those of you on Rumble, you can see. For those of you listening on the podcast, it says, if you stepped in and this is a family friendly show, and obviously what's it called? Also, I didn't put the curse words, but it is poo poo. Wipe your feet here, and it's a picture of Kamala and Joe Biden. So check it out on what's it called, on Rumble. I'll also be posting some pictures on Facebook and so on. So definitely thank you, Infinity Designs, for the gift. You are a great fan. Thank you for the feedback. We appreciate everything, all the messages and everything. We definitely do. Once again, thank you for joining us on the show. Excuse me. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. As we mentioned before, we will be dropping our new website shortly. Again, thank you so much. As usual, we apologize, not as usual, but we do apologize for going over a little bit. But it was just a passionate show. Thank you once again for joining us. As always, if you do like the content, please follow us for up-to-date content as well. As always, God bless you all.